Al Green and Tina Turner said, "Let's stay together." Smokey Robinson wrote, "Love Will Keep Us Together," and sang that too, but also did the Captain and Tennille. Well, my guests today are proof about what love will do and how you can stay together. And we're going to talk more about that, their lives, how they keep themselves active as people well into retirement. Faye Knowles and Erskine Knowles, welcome to Read Between the Lines.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's so good for you to be here. Tell us a little bit, we're going to come into more of your later lives, but tell me about your early life, and we'll start with Faye, because you were born in Scotland.
Yes.
Okay, tell us more about that.
I was born in Scotland from a long line of Scots on my mother's side, and my father was Australian, and both of my parents were in the Second World War, in the Air Force. My father was in the Royal Australian Air Force, and my mother in the British Air Force. And they met, fell in love, and I was born 10 months later, something like that. And at the end of the war, all the wives who'd married foreigners went back to whichever country their husbands came from.
Right.
And they went on bride ships, what they call bride ships. My mother's sister married a Canadian. He was in the Canadian Air Force. She was in the Air Force too. And so she went with her little girl out to Canada on a bride ship. So my mother and I went on a bride ship out to Australia. That was a long journey and quite exciting, and we stopped at some interesting places on the way. Ceylon, for one, which is not Ceylon anymore. Sri Lanka, yeah, that's right. And I have a photo of me in a rickshaw. Okay. So we were out there for 2 years. It was pretty tough because right after the war, there wasn't anywhere for military coming back to live, and my parents used to walk the streets looking for accommodation until they wore the soles of their shoes down. That's how bad it was. Wow. Until one day, my grandmother was there, and we did live with her for a while, until one day there was a man in a hole in the street, water or something, and he looked up and he said, "What's wrong?" And my mother said, "We're looking for somewhere to live." And he said, "Oh, you poor wee soul," because he was Scottish. And he told them where to go to find a place. So it was pretty tough, but eventually we went back. My father decided we'd go back to Scotland.
And you have a Swedish sort of part of your family as well.
My grandfather and my father's father was Swedish.
Okay.
And he came to Australia and met my grandmother. And she hails from Wales originally. Her ancestors are from Wales, Bevans. And we've been
Erskine, during this sort of comparative time, you were, hanging around in Mangrove Bush, huh?
The bush.
Tell us about your early life in Long Island.
My early life, reading, going to school, running to school, getting early in the morning, foul crows, no clocks, no nothing. We had no toilets, just a bush. So we used to get up very early in the morning. I think the first foul crow, which is about 4 o'clock, I guess.
Wow. Well, young people would hate that today.
No. You go about a mile to the north coast, almost to the north coast. Reid.
That was with your mother, wasn't it?
Me and my mother, because my father used to go to contract, away from abroad. And we would be until daylight, and then we would get wood, a bundle of wood, put on your head, and bring it out. Then you had to clean. We had to get some hominy grits. All we had was hominy grits in a can. We came out, and what we would do is wash our face, and so we had no shoes, barefoot. So I used to run to school.
Now, there was no paved roads, huh? So you're running on rock.
Rock.
Wow.
That's not a half of it, really. We would run to school and take some hominy grits, load hominy grits, with a can. You know those milk cans, condensed milk?
Yeah.
Take that to school and nothing to drink except water with it. Unless you found a penny, like one time I found a penny, I bought a glass of carnation milk mixed with water.
And how far away was school from Mangrove Bush? How long a track?
Buckley's, that's 2 miles.
Oh boy.
We run there.
Yeah.
But that's not half of that. When we left school, we would go by the waterway, And that's at crinkly rocks. Crinkly rocks. Run over those and didn't feel it.
Wow.
Run over those almost up to our place.
Now, you said your dad was on the contract.
Yeah.
So, and explain, I know young families don't know what that is, but it was a very important thing as far as Bahamian life was concerned.
Yeah, working. My father used to go to sometimes Fellsmere, Georgia, like Georgia, picking peaches. Fellsmere, they cut cane, and other parts of Florida, they do different things, you know.
So he'd be away for what, years at a time?
They
A year at a time?
Yeah. All the men, yeah, that's pretty good. When they came back, they bought a trunk full of clothes and stuff.
You had a large family, or you come from a lot of?
Yeah, 11 children.
What?
11 children.
So your mother was taking care of 11 children during this time?
Now, not all was.
No, right, yeah.
A lot of them, yeah, all of us.
Wow.
Until our brothers caught up and they went to Nassau.
Well, your first children were twin girls.
Twin girls, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, so they were 10 boys.
And you were one of three brothers,
I was
sons.
one of three brothers.
Amazing.
Yeah, like I said, we used to run over crinkly rocks and didn't feel it. And anyway.
You didn't get your first pair of tennis until your brother brought you something.
Yeah, and when I was 11 years old, both brothers were in Nassau then.
Okay.
And they would come to Long Island for vacation, so we used to go fishing. And then my brother asked me if I would want to go to Nassau for a break, so he bought me a pair of tennis. That's the first pair of tennis I had was 11. Almost 12 I was. And I didn't have another pair of tennis until I was 15 years old. I came to Nassau to work for them.
Wow, you came to Nassau at 15. We're going to come back to that in a minute, but let's come back to Faye and find out how you ended up in the Bahamas.
Oh, well, I was dying to get out of England. I wanted to get away from the cold winters, you know, and I wanted to go somewhere tropical. And I was going to go to New Zealand. You could emigrate to New Zealand for, I think, it didn't cost very much. And then Australia was free, but I wasn't interested in going to Australia. But Canada was $60, I think it was. Well, it was pounds then, I guess. 60
Now this
pounds.
is for travel by air?
By ship.
By ship?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Commercial airlines not? Okay, great.
Yeah, and so I was going to go to New Zealand, but the friend that was going to go with me, she got serious with her boyfriend. She didn't want to go anymore. And my mother's, because you had to be 21, you had to get permission from your parents to go anywhere. And my mother wouldn't let me go anywhere on my own except to Canada, where her sister was. And so that wasn't tropical, but still, I said, okay.
You just need to get away.
Yeah, right.
You're trying to break free and become more independent.
And I was working in a bank at the time, very dreary job. And although I'd had trained as a newspaper reporter with a news agency, I got disillusioned because the guys that I worked for, they were journalists from Fleet Street, and they were very hardcore, and they didn't care about anybody, and they used to send me out in jobs, and if someone died, they were delighted, you know. And you know, so I got
trying to get that big headline.
Yeah. So I got disillusioned, and I ended up I worked as a hotel receptionist for a while, and then I had to go into the dreary bank. But while I was in the bank, I worked there in the daytime, and then at night time, 6 nights a week, I worked in a sherry bar. That was to save money to go away. And what was good about that was because people used to buy me a drink, and I'd have one glass of sherry, and there was all sherry things in front of me and the two sides of the bar, right? And so I would say thank you, and I'd say cheers, and then I would go around the other side, and then someone else would buy me a drink, and I'd say, oh, thank you, with the same glass, and put the money in my pocket or my bag, you see.
Wow.
So that helped me save money. Okay. And then my mother worked in the Royal Clarence Hotel as a head receptionist, and on the way there I used to stop and have some lovely little sandwiches there. She used to have them brought up to my room.
So a sherry bar, very exclusive.
Yeah, Bernie's Inns it was.
Only sherry?
Yes, Bernie's Inns it was. And then I ate stale sandwiches at the end of the evening. And then on a Sunday I would go home to my grandmother, and she would cook me a big meal. And then I would go to the bus station every day and eat French fries and peas, which was the cheapest thing I could buy to save money. And I would eat porridge in the morning for breakfast to save money. And with all these savings and the second job, I saved enough money to buy a cabin trunk and pay my fare to Canada. And that's how I got out to Canada, but it was ship. it took about, I think it was 8 days, and we went down the St. Lawrence, and two ships collided on the St. Lawrence, and so we couldn't continue on, and we had to go, we had to be put off in Quebec, and everyone was just let free. We just caught lifts everywhere, and people were picking us up.
So did you eventually
connect
with your aunt?
Yeah, eventually got to Montreal, and then my uncle had flown up there to pick me up, and I went on the first time on a plane to Toronto, and as I said, I worked there for 5 months. I worked for the Canadian Food Journal and the Gift Buyer as an editorial assistant. And then the winter was coming, and I didn't want to be there in the winter. So my uncle's secretary said, well, what about the Bahamas? And I said, the Bahamas? Where is the Bahamas? And I looked at the map, and all these little dots down the bottom there. Okay,
so you really owe your uncle a lot.
Yes, right. That's true.
He got you married and gave you kids.
That's true. So, so I decided, and I got an all-inclusive holiday, where I got the Greyhound coach down across the States to Miami, and then the airfare and the hotel, it was the Dolphin Hotel at the time, by Junkanoo Beach.
Yes, I know, yeah.
And so it was all-inclusive.
Now, yeah.
So it was, so it was an all-inclusive, and I had 3 nights hotel accommodation paid.
Okay.
I had no job, I knew no one in Nassau. And
you were how old now?
Was turned 21 by then, I went to Canada when I was 20, And so, so I got to this hotel, and I put on no TV, so I put on the radio, and it was the BBC News. And I was shocked, and I thought, I'm supposed to be in a foreign place. What is this? I don't want to hear the BBC News, because all I wanted was to experience all the different cultures of different places in the world,
Right.
And so anyway, the next morning I woke up and I looked out, and palm trees waving, and the sun was shining, and then these people were all talking in what seemed like a foreign language to me at that time. And I realized this is a different foreign place, So I went downtown, walked downtown, and asked how could I get a job, and they told me go to Manpower up in Oaksfield.
Sorry, to where?
Manpower. It was an agency.
I'm not familiar with.
Temp agency,
Where was it? Entertainment, the union.
The House Musicians Union, that's where it used to be,
Same thing.
So I got on a big old bus, and you told me that would have been Dan Knowles' bus. They didn't have jitneys, and that took me all over the island till I got to Oaksfield, and they gave me work immediately as a temp secretary, which was in the old Churchill building for the Treasury, and I was working in there for a short time. And when I met you, I guess I must have still been working there.
Met you.
Worked for.
And
I worked for Soretti and DePuch for a while. He was traveling abroad, and I transcribed all his interesting editorials.
So isn't it interesting how your journalistic skills, and then of course your mother, who told you to get shorthand skills, secretarial skills.
Right.
All of these helped to benefit you.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's find out. You said you came to Nassau when you were 15.
I came on a sailboat.
Okay.
A small sailboat.
So you knew specifically you were coming forward to work with your bigger brothers, or?
Oh no.
Or you just said it was time to.
When I came to Nassau at 15 years old, I came to work to find a job. I stayed with my sister, one of my sisters, and that's when, as soon as I came there, my oldest brother, he used to work on a boat that went to South America.
Okay.
So he was down in Curacao. So he bought an accordion and a guitar. So he asked me if I wanted a guitar. I said, sure. I played accordion too, but he played accordion.
Because you had already been playing instruments from Long Island.
I played accordion in Long Island.
Right.
And the drums. And so I picked up the guitar, and I didn't play the accordion again until like 1996 at a party. Anyway, I took the guitar, I went down to Boyd Cambridge place, I got they used to sell these books, with the chords.
Right.
And I taught myself.
Oh.
And he taught me like the piano, and he said I could try out all the instruments. Tried blowing sax, but I couldn't. Recorder I could do. Anyway, 15, and then you know what we used to do? My second brother, he had a car, Winston. And he used to, on the weekend, I had a guitar, I had bongo drums, and I had maracas. So he used to take me and two other guys, and we used to go like Gambia.
Okay.
I didn't drink then. I was too young.
Well, you didn't drink then? Okay.
No, I didn't drink.
We don't drink now, actually.
We don't drink now, but they used to drink. So we got to go to Gambia. They had a place you buy a sandwich and shoot pool, and I used to play and sing and play.
Wow.
Camp Road, we used to go also,
Okay.
all over the place, practicing, practice. And so we decided, 1965, no, 64 actually, decided to, me and Peter Catlin, and he calls him Catalano now.
Right, I know the family
You
quite
know,
well,
James,
yeah.
James,
James, yeah, and I know Gina and
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
Derek
yeah.
and all
James,
that.
Derek called me uncle.
Okay.
Peter's
Okay.
son. I knew them when they were tiny. And me, Peter, and Lauren, and
Lauren Cartwright.
Henry Knowles, Lauren Cartwright, we formed the band. So we used to play the parties, which private parties. That's how when I met you. You're playing down on Sunday morning of New Year's.
Yes, yeah.
Now, just to give us an idea, you said $5, $5? They used to pay you?
No.
I didn't hear you right. I thought you said they paid you $5. Okay.
Oh, no.
I misheard. Okay, sorry.
No,
There were five of you, were there? Five of
there
you?
was five.
Oh, five of you.
Five of
Excuse
us,
me.
yeah.
All right.
That to start with, yeah.
The five didn't last that long. So it only ended up with me, Lauren, and Peter. We were a trio. So we played there, the Penders played across the road, and so on. Anyway, I met Count Bernardino, I met Freddie Munning Sr., I met all the guys. I met all the guys from like Jamaica, some Trinidad fellas.
All musicians.
I played. I knew all the musicians, all the old ones.
Wow.
Guy
That's
DeRosia.
a privilege right in itself.
Yeah.
Guy DeRosia, you name them, I met them. I played with a lot of those too. Count Bernardino, I used to go to the flowers. He used to run the flowers.
Okay.
You know, the flowers were owned by Craig Flowers, Quacker Street, and we used to go there and he used to let us play there.
Okay.
And that's where Smokey 007, he started out. The first time I saw him was at the Flowers.
You've got an amazing, so most of your life has been as a musician.
Music, yeah.
And of course, writing has always been in your life.
Yeah, I started at age 9.
Shell and the Richard Delamore's Club, Lemon Tree, and Sonny Johnson, all of these guys. I knew every one of those.
And I should say
I
that,
played with quite a few of them.
that when we met, you took me all over the hill to all these nightclubs.
Yeah.
I used to go over on the back of his scooter. And all around and the Flowers was a real dive, you know.
Yeah, right.
And I used to be very excited to go to these dive places, you know, those sort of places. Really experiencing life, you know. I was still young.
I tell you, that's great.
Sugar Hill, and if you go on YouTube or TikTok, and I'm not playing music, I'm talking, I'm explaining.
When you don't see him with his guitar.
Nightclubs and all the entertainers.
You know, we're going to I think that's a good time for us to take a break right now and
Okay.
talk when we come back about
Okay.
what you do now as a retired man and still playing music and really an internet man.
Yeah.
And of course you as the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Stay with us, we'll be back on Read Between the Lines with the Knowles, Erskine and Faye.